Good morning. I am higher vibrations, and so are you. There are a lot of things happening across the planet right now. A lot of us have been feeling these crazy energies, and I just wanted to echo out that we're all experiencing it. You're going to be all right. There's some cool geomagnetic activity occurring today as well. So we're anticipating a lot of awesome things. I'm just so excited to be joined today by our guest. I'm going to read this really quickly, so you all have an idea of who we're talking with. This is Nancy Times. That's how you say it. Is that right?
Thames, like the Thames
Tim's.
River, England. Yeah.
Okay. Um, she's a lifelong contactee of interdimensional extraterrestrial beings and has emerged as a significant voice in the realm of alien disclosure and spiritual awakening. Her journey, marked by personal struggles, transformed profoundly through her continuous extraterrestrial encounters. These experiences, initially suppressed, were eventually embraced as Nancy began to understand the purpose in her life and for humanity. She has come to the decisive conclusion it is time for disclosure. And then now today she is joining us in this conversation. She does have says her dedication is to this cosmic narrative compelled her to create time for disclosure.com. So if anyone would like to contact her or to be involved in time for disclosure.com, all one word. Thank you for joining us today, Nancy. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I've been wondering about this solar flares and all this stuff going on within our atmosphere because my knee is killing me. And it's my right knee, and it never ever bothers me. We do have like little minor rain, but I don't know. This is a different feeling. It's different. Yeah.
This is
But
super
I'm great.
common.
Yeah.
This is super common. If you'd like me to answer that question right now, I'd be happy to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you when it comes to the side of the body when you're having the occurrence and whatever it is, it's good to understand it's the divine masculine or the divine feminine. So the divine masculine is on the right side of the body, and this doesn't mean that it's a manly thing. It's divine masculine. So we
Mhm.
have like
Yeah.
the action, the do, or the protector, all these types of things, and it anchoring it in the knee area tends to be this is an area we have given away our will. We've bent down to someone else. Not always is that the case, but most frequently that's the case. If you
Yeah.
follow Dolores Cannon, you'll see that a lot of our stuff has to do also with past life experiences. Not always is it in this lifetime. And so our body will start to react in a way. So to point at it. So we'll focus on it and heal that part. So the right or both knees and the hips are as well as the lower back area is really a big thing right now. Most people are getting a spinal. I was just talking to Elsa yesterday about this. All the way up the spine, we're having a spinal activation, and a lot of times then it'll end up in the hips or one of the knees.
Yeah.
And so um, just knowing why it's there usually is half the battle because then we can like focus on that energetically and emotionally.
Yeah. I what my higher self tells me, our inner soul self, is get in the bed and stretch out. Just stretch. Just try to stretch out and let the body flow. Because I certainly don't want to fall asleep like in a recliner or anything because I feel like that interferes with
Yeah,
the flow of energy for some reason. That's just my how I feel about it.
definitely.
Yeah.
And also the direction that like there's a lot to I can't remember the word right now. It's the art of how you have your room, the furniture put together in your room.
Really.
hmm So if your head is facing south, it's actually the most advantageous. So if you can face your bed to where your head is facing south, this is like the best you could do. Also, they suggest not having your feet pointed at the door. So if your bed is right in
Mm.
front of the door, then you end up having a lot. I actually experimented with that, and it did. I did. I kind of forgot what I was doing. I put my bed there just as an experiment and forgot,
Yeah.
and my I was having some really unpleasant experiences.
What about if you have a closet that has a door? Is that the same type thing, or is it?
The door out, the exit of the
Oh,
room.
okay, that's out of the room. Huh? Interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah. There's a whole science to it. I can't remember what it's called, but I'm sure somebody in the audience will be able to comment and tell us. And
Oh,
I
that'd be
can't
nice.
remember right now off the top of my head. It's a really it's a Eastern, like Asia practice that's been known for a really long time. I can't remember at the top of my head, but
That's interesting. Yeah, well, I hope somebody knows and types it in, because that
yeah.
way I can jot it down.
I
Yeah.
think if they don't, I'll remember it after we get off of here. I'm sure it's the Schumann's been spiking. We've had some solar flares lately too. Like the past couple of days have been pretty high. In fact, today is the conjunction. Oh yeah, I forgot. It's a feng shui. Thank you, spiritual warrior. It's feng shui.
Okay, I have heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's spelled this way. I'll put up the comment so we can all see it. Um,
Okay.
Yeah, this is really, and then Flix Love says that Thoth spoke of it. This is a real deep practice. And yeah, if Thoth spoke of it, obviously all these things don't belong to a region. Like, this is old, ancient spiritual technology is how spirit calls it, even though we think it's something new, like new age medicine, for instance, is old age medicine, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was the right way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I'd like to ask you a couple of
Sure.
questions.
I'd love to. Yeah.
You've had such an amazing experiences. Um, I was just curious, what was your first experience? What was, because you've mentioned you've had a lot of extraterrestrial, interdimensional
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
interactions and
yeah.
contacts.
I'm 64 years old, so this has been happening all my life, and it's still occurring. That's one reason why I've not written a book, because I'm not done. I'm just in the beginning of this, because I'm here on a soul mission to help humanity, and we are just now at the beginning, point of our spiritual, our evolution our spiritual growth and evolution on this planet, and we're also going through the ascension, which is basically all the same, but people word things differently. So this is what I came to Earth, what my soul purpose is. And throughout my life, interdimensional extraterrestrials have worked with me to get me to where I am today, so that I have the confidence and the knowledge and, the open-mindedness to be able to speak out and do these things and basically clear up a lot of misinformation. There's so much misinformation out there. But as far as thinking back, it would be about 2 or 3 years old. And I would remember waking up and having the experience. And then also, I can remember telling my mom and dad that there were beings in my room, and they would just laugh at me and say, "Go back to bed. You're having a dream," So, yeah, it's all my life, you know.
Wow. What I have, my earliest experience wasn't until I was like 5, and for me that was, I was given an implant. So I'm just want to compare notes. I'm curious.
Sure.
Did you have that kind of experience, or was this what kind of experience was it? Like conversation? How did this first start coming about for you?
They would, well, I am part of a interdimensional group that has a mothership. And on the mothership, there are many different races of extraterrestrials. In my opinion, they are all interdimensional. That's pretty much what I know. And the government's coming out now and saying that. So where they send down 3 grays. One is a female. She's reddish brown, about 4 foot tall, and I am bonded with her, and I absolutely love her, and she loves me. She is a hybrid, but she's biological. She was created by the tall grays and the interdimensionals to be able to withstand the density here on Earth. It is not comfortable for extraterrestrials or interdimensionals to do the back and forth and to be in the density of our planet. So they created this biological hybrid. So she does not have a name. We do not exchange names. That's something that for them, we are one, we are all connected. So you do not individualize. That is creating a separation, a division, and that is not part of their belief. So, and that's the way, that they expect me to act, because I now know I was an interdimensional being that made a choice to come to Earth at this particular time to be a part of this evolutionary process for humanity and to help bridge the gap between the galactic realm and the human realm, and unite us in our connected ways that we are just now waking up to here on Earth.
Right. That's really cool. I resonate with that in a lot of ways too.
Yeah.
That, in fact, my experience on top of that is that many of these interdimensional beings actually reside here on this planet and have for longer than I've been here.
Yeah, they're a billion years ahead of us in evolution, and they've already proven to me they are all around us. We can't see it with in our 3D realm with our limited vision. We only have our five senses, and our visual range only goes so far. But they could be in the room with me right now, and they could be in the room with you right now. We wouldn't see it, but if they wanted me to know they were here, and they've demonstrated this to me, they've taken a clock that was running on a battery and run the timepiece for a clock stop, make sure that I'm paying attention. And then when they know they have my attention, they'll do it again, 4 o'clock, and they'll do it like 3 or 4 times to let me know they're all around. They're all around us, or all around me. And, we just simply can't see these things, but they can see us, Yeah. I know that sounds bizarre, but they've proven that to me many, many times that they have that. Another thing that they've proven to me is that you here on Earth, we carry our technology as a separate entity. It's something we carry with us, we talk through or whatever. In their reality, their higher consciousness is their technology, and they are not AI. They are just highly advanced biological, highly way over us in evolution, but their consciousness is their technology, and they can manifest pretty much what they want.
Right.
They don't have to carry things around like we do.
Right.
Yeah.
And that actually leads into another question that I have.
Sure.
And this is just an observation. I'm just wondering if what your interpretation of it is the difference between angels and interdimensional beings. Are they the same thing?
Well, they explained something to me, and I'll just let you kind of tell me what you think. So I asked them why they look different from the Greys or the Nordics, or because they're all on the same craft. I can see them all. Okay, they're all on the same craft, and they are all at a higher frequency than I am. So I feel the difference in the frequency from us here on Earth. So I asked them, why do they look different? Because to me, they are luminescent, shiny, opaque, 8 foot tall, you know. So the way they explained it was they would say, if they were to teleport, say you and I, if they were to teleport us back to the biblical days, at that phase in time in their evolution and frequency and intelligence, and we come as we are at this frequency and intelligence and consciousness, if they teleport us and you and I walk out in front of them, we would be the shiny ones.
That makes sense, actually.
Does it?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So there's a couple of ways to look at that. One, it could be they're saying we're going up the DNA ladder. We're gonna in the future evolve into that ourselves, or we already are where they were. I guess what it is trying to say that to people back in the day, their perception understanding was very different than today. So if they come to us today, land or whatever, our perception would be different. Our understanding would be different, perhaps. What do you think?
My main memory was when what we call Atlantis fell. I don't resonate with all the words that we use to describe that, but that's what we call it. So that's why I use those words. Um, and there was a window of awakening at that time that didn't get met. And, things occurred, and I was I was kind of upset about it. And I spent hundreds and hundreds of lifetimes of man remotely experiencing everyone on this planet while I watched a nebula form, and I sulked. It's kind of how I would reword it.
Yeah.
And then everything went backwards. It's like rewinding an old VCR. You know how you used to be able to watch it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It was like that, and
Yeah.
everything went back to, and then I was here. So, um, based off of that memory and that knowing, we are from the future. We came here from the future to repair or redo or do again
Yeah.
something. And so
Well,
many of our ancient texts are actually describing what we're doing right now because it already happened and now we're doing it again. And therefore, yes, we are the higher frequency beings that we seek out.
yeah.
Embodied, though.
Yeah, that's interesting. I, there's so much. It's like the more you know, the more you realize you don't know, or the more there's more to know. I don't think we'll ever get a true understanding of all of this, but it's amazing to me. I find it amazing. It is simply amazing. Mm. I had something I was going to say and I went blank. You're supposed to help me.
Oh, that's okay, because this is actually a segue point. If you mind me adding something that's off topic,
Mm.
unless you'd like me to try to
Go ahead.
encourage your memory.
Yeah.
Is something that's happening right now that I meant to mention earlier and I forgot to,
Okay.
because I got excited. Someone had told me what feng shui was called. Um, is that we're in a conjunction right now with the Father, the Son, and the Mother. I've been saying it's the Father and the Son, not realizing that the Earth is also in that line. The
Yeah.
conjunction of Jupiter, Zeus, Aries, which is Mars,
Yeah.
right? And Earth, Gaia, Mother, Father, and Son. And so there's a lot of this divine masculine energy coming out, but it's in a more balanced way than it has been often. Um, and so we're coming to an understanding right now, today, in the 14th or the 15th, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere,
Yeah.
that's going to help us to understand some things a little more clearly regarding family and balance.
Yeah.
So,
That's amazing. Yeah. You know, I hope I know most of your viewers do know, but I'm trying to reach out to humanity to help them understand that this is the greatest time to be alive on this planet, whether we remember it or not. I feel like I know we all chose to be here at this time, and we came here for a purpose. And I think that's what's so beautiful about this ascension and this evolutionary process. We are waking up. We are becoming more aware. Our visual range is opening, and we're realizing our uniqueness, who we are, our purpose here on this planet, and also our purpose to join the cosmic realm. So, yeah, it's a amazing time to be alive. I'm proud to be here because I think this will go down in history as being the biggest event since our creation. I think in the past, if we had like big leaps of little bits of evolution, we weren't intelligent enough in the past to actually understand it was happening because you know we didn't have anything to gauge or go by, and we were just at a specific level, and that was all we needed at that time. But it's different now. We are aware, that our world is changing. We are aware that our planet Earth is changing. So this is a big opportunity for humankind. It really is.
oh yeah. In fact, that's what I get from most of these energies that connect. It's without the density of what it means for us in our language, jealousy. There's a jealousy, like there's a craving to be where we are. You know, we're in a very unique position. It's the best seats in the house.
I think it's going to get even. We think about this. Think about this. If so, through this ascension and through our evolution. So, if all humans in this slow process, it won't happen overnight. Come together in unity as one, as in we're all connected with our planet Earth, and we have that frequency, and with our frequency, and all living creatures on the planet, all of us on the same frequency. Can you even imagine what this planet Earth will be like when if we get to that point? I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how long it would take for that, but that is the goal, is what the extraterrestrials, interdimensionals want us to at least aspire to have that happen, you know.
Right.
But we're human, so it can't happen overnight.
It takes
That's pretty amazing.
the 13th code of the DNA code that we're moving toward. That's the goal. It enables our heart song to be in alignment, in tune with the cosmos. And
Oh, that's neat.
I know that because that's what they tell us about, you know, that it's 222 my time. And as this alignment is underway, it feels chaotic in the body. You know, that's why we have so many heart palpitations and
Yeah.
all that kind of jarring feeling inside. It feels like something's wrong. We're just finding the right chord,
Yeah.
the rhythm.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel the changes all the time, and sometimes I don't understand, you know, exactly why they're occurring, but I realize more and more that our connections that we have forgotten, we are so connected to everything that we forget that whatever our earth or the universe is, you know, like the solar flares and stuff, whatever happens, we're part of it, and
Yeah.
we're gonna have some bodily reactions to it. But most people have no clue of that. And so that's where, you know, I'm trying to kind of bridge all this together and do it in a fashion that they're not overloaded, because sometimes they just are like, oh, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so that is so neat. But I like it because you see it at an angle. We both see the same thing, but maybe, you know, our uh, the way we repeat it or say it comes out a little different. But I like the way you do it, because, and that's why I like having conversations with people like you, because it helps me to understand my experiences better.
Right.
And I, you know, my son and I have these kind of conversations all the time, and it is so helpful because we can. He's the only person that I can, you know, that can relate to what I'm even talking about. So it is nice. Yeah.
So your son's an experiencee as well.
Oh yeah, both of my sons are, but the oldest one has had the Kundalini and the has the physical face to face contacts like I do, and he gets downloads. Uh, when I'm not in a physical contact with them, I get a lot of mine are in my dream state,
Mm.
or sometimes I think that I am interacting with them, but on some conscious level, I'm not totally aware of it until I leave reminders for myself, or I have what I call fragmented memories. So, but I like it when it's the full open conscious, as I am right now, because I can fully remember everything, and I, you know, and I know where the information exactly comes from. So, but I don't know. It just seems like with all this stuff going on around our planet, and the fact that people are more aware of them, and you know, or there's more attention being watched, you know, in our skies, and with the government especially watching things and stuff. So
Hmm.
I think that they've had to adapt to that. So yeah, so a lot of times it's not necessarily the three grays, that come for me anymore. It is a different technology, and it's more like a teleport type thing where I feel them coming, but then I start feeling, which means my frequency changes. But now it gets to the point where it's like extreme vertigo, and it feels like my whole insides are going in circles, and then I'll black out.
Right.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. But I have, I don't know how it happened, but I have found where, like, if my phone was close by, somehow I know they're like my conversations sometimes with them, it will type out what I'm saying to them. It's really bizarre.
Huh.
That is bizarre.
Yeah.
That happened recently, and I'm like, I did not type this. So it was either me having a conversation with them or one of them attempting to leave me a note on my phone messenger. It was weird. And my son is he's still trying to figure out what that is. He thinks it's just that it was a Siri thing that, where some people would say I was talking in my sleep. He says I was having a conversation with them. Yeah.
Right.
So
That
it's
makes a lot of
bizarre.
sense.
I have no clue. Don't know.
I do feel like most of our conversation, that the most profound and important conversation usually happens when we're what we would call unconscious, whether we're asleep or we're deep meditation or we're doing something like this. It's like that's when our ego steps out of the way enough. Or I call it intellect. Ego, I don't use that word that often
Yeah.
because it means something else. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Same thing, though, is we let our intellect step aside, then true conversation can occur.
Yeah. I think they like that, you know.
Hmm.
And I think that in that state, whatever it is going on, I am more relaxed and I just let it flow rather than being cautious about everything I say.
Yeah.
So I guess it removes the human consciousness and just opens up the subconscious, I guess is a good way of trying to think about it.
It turns off the denier,
Yeah.
the part of us that denies due
Mhm.
to what we've been, like this example. I love this comment from Deborah Taylor. She says, religion has scared so many about galactic beings. And we'll go to that fear place. We'll go to a lot of times. We'll go to whether it's galactic or angelic or higher, any something new,
Mhm.
we'll go to try to disprove it. We've been taught the scientific method of, the goal is to disprove it, not to prove it.
Exactly. Well, it's since the minute we were born, we've been programmed. People have frowned upon intuition, telepathy, uh, paranormal, ETs, et cetera, and labeled it as a mental health issue or a demonic thing. So a lot of people that's had these experiences are afraid to even talk about it, and that I hope is changing. And that I like to uh, hope that I hope we all can reach out to people and let them find a safe place to know they're not alone and it is real. Yeah.
And you can tell in your heart. You can tell if it's of a higher frequency or a love frequency or not.
Yes.
It's very apparent.
Yeah. A lot of people can do that here on earth. I think I'm pretty good at that, and I imagine you are too. So it would be easily, because it's all different frequency, and you feel it in your soul. You feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious, being that you're, an experiencee from so many years of experience.
Mhm.
You had mentioned the grays, the hybrid, the lady. And I was wondering, have there been any other groups of
Oh,
beings that have
yes.
come to you? How
Yeah.
many, if you could just generalize, how many do you
When
think?
Okay, as far as, well, here on here on Earth, primarily it was the grays, but there's been times when it was an interdimensional or interdimensionals. They seem to not. Well, I take that back. They have come to me also and change change their look. They would, in other words, pull an image from my mind. I was in a hospital and they came to me to talk to me about it, and they looked like a past president, which I knew the president was not in my room, and they were wearing green scrubs and they wanted to talk to me. But they did that on purpose, not to startle me, because they wanted to have a conversation, and we had one. But I knew enough and was at the point where I knew it was them. I didn't think that somebody was wearing a Halloween mask or anything weird. But so basically, when I get on craft, I don't see the grays in the female and the two other grays that travel with her. They always travel in threes. So I don't see them. So when I'm on craft, then I am around the interdimensionals that are 8 foot tall grays, all kinds of grays, and humanoid looking uh, extraterrestrials that basically look like humans, but I don't ask them, what are you, or that kind of thing. I just know they're different. See, and we are there. It is our frequency is who defines who we are. That is our signature. That is who we are. They don't exchange names. And then I've seen had interactions with aquatic beings, and they showed me what they called a archon, and took me to a place, and I met an archon, and then I've met a reptilian on the craft, and he was a benevolent reptilian. I have never met any evil or malevolent type beings at all. So many different ones, and I interact with them. Oops, did you see that?
Yeah, you're green. Your background's green now.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I don't mind. But anyway, so yeah, I interact with a lot of different beings on craft, but a lot of times the grays they use for the legwork, because they are a hybrid and their DNA is designed to withstand the density of Earth.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's really cool. And I have the same experience. There's at least threes. Usually they're almost always in sets of three, though sometimes they'll be in larger groups, but I've never seen just one.
I haven't either, except for the one time the one approached, and I think this was an interdimensional, because they were in a human form, but they were changing. They pulled the image from my mind, and that's the way they appeared to me.
Yeah.
So they beamed in and then beamed out. It wasn't a gray. Yeah.
I've also had experiences, like, I just wanted to echo what you said, just for the same experience of not having being told about a lot of these like reptilian kind of stories and stuff. There's all this fear stuff, and yeah, there's the way that they explained it to me was, and I'm gonna use a swear word to explain it, because that's the word they use. They said, if you met a handful of assholes, does that mean that all humans are? Like, it's the same thing with any other group of individuals. Like,
Yeah.
there's going to be the there's service to others and service to self-orientation.
Yeah. Yeah. My perception of that is changing as I progress and evolve, and the more interactions I have. And I think that what we perceive as evil, demonic, and stuff is the fear and our programming, or whatever our religious belief system is. I really don't think any of them are evil or demonic. Misunderstood, yes. Bad bedside manner, yes. But I think that overall, I don't think any of them are demonic. Because they believe in a creator source, and they all have souls. So, and the way that they explain it to me is that, for example, everything on our planet we have humanized and tried to rationalize by comparing ourselves to it. And we have a hard time understanding that the higher dimensions are all benevolent, you know, because we haven't evolved to that stage. And the way they showed it to me was that as we go up the DNA ladder, all negativity and negative aspects, warlike ways, racism, all these different things that humans have will fall off because we realize through our intelligence they no longer serve humanity. And
Yeah.
that's how they are who they are today and how their civilization has lasted for billions of years, and why we have to go through this evolution and ascension because we're at the point that we can go left or right, meaning destruct our planet, destruct ourselves with our technology and our nuclear weapons, or we can evolve and choose peace, unity, and love, and realize that our past was something that had to occur because that has made us who we are today, but we cannot continue in that path. We need a new way of thinking and a new way of living so that we can evolve for billions of years, like the extraterrestrials and interdimensional. So this is a pivotal moment within our society as a civilization on where we are headed. And this is a big decision that we're going to be making in our generation right here, right now, throughout this ascension, to what our grandchildren and our grandchildren's children, what their lives will be like. So
Right.
I think this is real important, very important. And I think that what they tell me is to be patient and let evolution run its course. And with that alone, that will start to wake people up to, and they will understand and be more receptive to the changes that are going to occur or to the new information that is going to occur with all this disclosure. So,
Right.
I'm sure other people have different perceptions and, and all that, but that's just the way that I received the information and how it made me feel. Yeah.
Yeah. I resonate with that completely. In fact,
Yeah.
you brought up a really valid. I was looking for the name of it. I feel like I'm going to misspeak and say it the wrong way, but that doesn't matter. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It was back in 2017. There was a vessel that came around, and I actually didn't know about it back in 2017. I discovered it in 2020 when I went up there, and astral, or I think I was in astral. It might have been remote viewing. I can sometimes I can't tell, because you're just in the experience. Um, anyway, I went into meditation and was there, and this massive vessel that looked kind of like a Snickers bar.
Oh, you're
Uh,
talking about that
Oumuamua?
Unamanami or something like that.
What's it called?
Unami, Oname, Unamanami. It's a Hawaiian word.
Oumuamua, I think is what
Oumuamua, that's
is that
it.
right?
Yeah,
Hamua, that's right.
yeah,
There's an H
that's
in
it.
front of it. I couldn't
Yeah.
remember the.
Well, between the two of us, we finally got it.
I knew that there were two. There were like because the cow. I got the moo
Yeah,
part.
the
I couldn't
boo
remember
part.
the rest
Yeah.
of it.
We needed the ooh.
These beings that were on this vessel, see, I actually didn't know about it in 2017. That was when I was off grid. I didn't have TV or internet or reception unless I left where we lived and found reception,
Yeah.
which was a really good thing to do for a period of time. If anyone ever has the opportunity, I totally encourage you to try it. However, I met these beings on this vessel, and it was a whole civilization. And later on, it turns out science are talking about it. In fact, they posted it again, that science is discovering it again. I just tried to click it,
Yeah.
and YouTube has removed that video. So I couldn't find
Oh,
the name of
wow.
it.
Mhm.
Anyhow, the reason I bring them up is because when I interacted with them initially, I was like, ugh. Like it was difficult for me because they aren't emotional like we are.
Right. Right. The
And
hybrid
those,
grays are not either. Yeah.
yeah, to a point of like, it almost felt like it was, they weren't bad. It's just, I was kind of like an annoying little kid that when they're trying to get something done, they're busy, you
Yeah.
know?
You were eavesdropping on their work.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of us will get those experiences initially. And that's why I wanted to bring it up, is that we can misinterpret um, someone busy with someone who's unkind, you
Yeah.
know? And
They're
there's
very task oriented. There is no negotiating. There's no goofing off, no fooling around. So, yeah, they come off as, even some people think that grays are robotic, but they're biological. They just, the hybrids come across as that, but they are biological. But the grays on craft, they have a lot of, they have humor. You know, it's really strange.
I have a question. I'm
Sure.
curious. People have mentioned this before a bunch of
Mhm.
different times. Is that um, their shorter grays are like clones to like task? They're created for to be a task.
Well,
They're
that's
the
the
doer.
hybrids I'm talking about. But now I've seen like 3 foot grays. Those were the ones that came from my two sons.
Yeah.
I don't really, other than seeing them that time, they wore like robes and had high collars. So I think they were the real McCoys. I don't think they were hybrids, but they were task oriented. So I didn't get to interact, and they pretty much put me in a sleep paralysis, wide awake, but I couldn't speak or move. So, but the hybrid ones, one thing strange I noticed though, like when she's telepathically talking to me, I cannot sense whether she's female or male, but I know by her frequency that she's female, and the other two are male, but I know. And so, but when I'm on craft and I'm around the regular grays or tall grays or any other grays up there, I don't see any of those little bitty short ones like I saw with that time. But anyway, when they speak telepathically to me, I can tell male and female, and I can sense inflection in their voice. But with the hybrid, there's no inflection at all. It's just, it's more like commands, like,
Yeah.
so, but she is a biological, and I can tell she loves me. I can sense it. And, and I feel that way about her. And I know that she has been with me. She was with me in my prior life as an interdimensional. So this is part of her experience, is experiencing me doing the back and forth and watching me as a human going back and forth and bridging the gap, and also being kind of an instrument of them to understand what it's like to be a human being.
Yeah.
And when I'm on craft, I have like all these different ones evaluating me. It's like being, it's like being under the microscope, sort of like, because
Mm-hmm.
they want to know, now that they know that I know who I am, they want to know, how am I balanced in my life? How is my mental health? Am I progressing on the human side like I should be doing? And how am I doing on the contactee side? And also, it's a way to check the well being of human beings to see what toxic levels we're exposed to. And for me, being of lineage from them, they can fix things in my body. They don't do that necessarily with other people, because people make soul contracts before they come to Earth, and they cannot interfere. It's a cosmic law. They can't interfere with certain things. But they, I don't know, they do a lot of beautiful things that really people don't even notice. They watch over and make sure no asteroids hit our planet, and stuff like that. So there, and they have, I've seen videos and stuff that I felt were credible, shooting down missiles like during wars and stuff like that. But those are not the things that our media puts on the news.
Yeah.
So they're misunderstood in a lot of ways. But I do feel like I know that I know that I have family up there, and they're waiting on me, because 64 to them is a drop in the bucket. I'm a
Right.
baby to them. They live much, much longer lives. And my son and I often have these deep conversations, and we don't, there's no way of knowing 100% whether this is true or not, but we feel that we are alive up there in a sleep stasis, and this is the dream down here.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds weird.
Not
And
at
people
all.
say, but there's just too many things. I mean, because I actually, more and more, I am remembering my life up there and seeing my interactions and their fascination with the human form, so it's kind of strange. It's kind of like that's part of my next step is to let them explore the human side of me. So it's kind of strange, but that's what I've been going through this past month. And it's been, my son is a lifesaver that I can turn to him and say, guess what?
Yeah. What a blessing.
It is. It really is. For so long, I had nobody. So
You had an echo of what you were saying. This is my experience too. Is the Kim Duffy says they watch over us frequently near power plants. I see them fly over often. I was actually shown this multiple times throughout my life where they actually shut down like reactors and stuff.
yeah,
And then fast forward to, I don't think it was only a few years ago, I saw content where someone was talking about it. I was like, yeah, they showed me this. They do. They go and like everyone makes a big deal about like the big bombs and stuff, that they won't be able to use them
no,
anymore.
no. They will not let our planet be destroyed because our planet is a living, conscious being.
Right.
All animals and insects, coral reefs, water, air, trees, plants, etc., are living, conscious beings. And they have just as much of a right to this planet Earth as we do,
Right.
you know. And
Oh,
they understand their connections with everything. It's humans that don't. We've lost our connections with our planet Earth and with all living things on it. But I'm hoping that that's part of our evolutionary process is to get us back connected to understanding our place with our planet Earth and all living creatures. And I think that even people will start to have communication with animals and stuff.
yeah.
There's a lot of things that it's going to activate in our DNA, not overnight. So it's not like you're going to walk outside and there's a cow trying to get in your car, or you're trying to have a conversation with the lady next door is having a conversation with the cat, which sometimes that happens, I guess. But but you know what I mean. It's not going to be overnight, like night and day. But through the process, there will be people that learn to communicate with certain animals and stuff.
Oh, yeah. And in some cases, it is overnight. It's so fascinating to
Well,
watch.
some people already do that, I think,
Mhm.
you know.
Well, the solar flares. Every time we get a solar flare, you're from a generation that remembers this. Probably, it's surprising how many people don't remember this. That we were taught that 90 to 95% of our DNA was junk DNA,
Exactly.
and it was actually just dormant DNA.
Yeah.
You know, that particular teaching from the teachers got me sent to the principal's office more than anything else because I just
Yeah.
wouldn't buy it. I just couldn't. No, no, that's not true. Obviously not true. you know.
Yeah. And I've never really asked them. All I know is like, why did they do these things,
Mm.
And I guess it's not for us to know. And we can't dwell upon that. We just have to accept that as part of our past and realize it's made us who we are today. We're much more intelligent and strong. It's kind of like some of the most ambitious people are people that hit rock bottom or came from an extreme trauma but overcame it and then come out so powerful. So I think that's in a kind of like a reflection of what our human experience has been.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then as we have these solar flares, as we have these, like, we're calling these comets to us. It's become a joke how many times we'll hear once in a lifetime celestial event, like it's all the time now. For instance, last year in August, we had a super blue moon. And guess what? We're having another one this August. It's the 19th, I believe. Yes, the
Oh,
19th.
awesome.
Another super blue moon. This is one of four super moons in a row, the first. And then all the solar flares and stuff, as this stuff comes in, it activates our dormant DNA. That's what ascension symptoms are. And
Yeah.
then, so for me, all of a sudden, the communication with animals that have just been happening for me the past couple of weeks, it's, I mean, I've always had it, but not like this.
Yeah,
Not like
it's
this.
intense, big time. There's no
Right.
doubt about it. And you know, people need to not be afraid of these things because this is part of our uniqueness and our gifts. There's nothing wrong with it, you know. But I know in my generation growing up, it was stereotyped as being not right, you know.
Yeah.
So
Right. Well, we were taught that on purpose. That was a reason for that. That was a quieting of the voices, you
yeah,
know, and like it's so I brought a couple of comments that if people have said that we're finally here. We're finally able to discuss these things. Great
that's
conversation,
amazing.
ladies. Just disclose the good. The more we do, it snuffs out the fear agenda. And exactly what we're talking about right now. Thank you, Kim. You know, and we're allowing ourselves to speak it out because no one's going to stop us anymore.
That's right. Well, in unity, we are unstoppable, you
Mhm.
know, and we're getting to that point more and more every day. I see it. A lot of people say, "Oh man, we'll never make that," and I'm like, "Well, there's your that you know that's wrong. You should be thinking we're going to work at this. You know, think of something positive. You know,
Yeah.
we need to replace the negative thoughts with two positive thoughts. That's our old Programming. So we need to have new thinking, new programming, replace the old, understand what it is, but replace it, you know, and work at trying to be the better version of ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And while we do this, we're being given guidance from all these different places. In fact, if the reason I have this picture, if you look at it, this is echoed as above, so below. You see it
I love
everywhere.
that. Yeah.
And this is what Earth looks like. Like this is, and all of these different overlapping dimensional frequencies. I remember trying to draw it on the mirror with a dry erase marker one time to show somebody, and just to, I, there, it's not possible for me to draw it to show it exactly because it's something more. But all things are touching. There's,
Yeah.
you
They're
know, everybody
connected.
talked about all the blackness. There's so much emptiness out there. There's not a spot where there's nothing.
Oh, absolutely. Everything is connected. You know, that's the one thing I've learned.
Yeah. And all of these things and around us are all different examples of planets. And some of them are also Earth and Earth and Earth and Earth, you know, and like,
Mhm.
and they touch. And when we raise our frequency just enough, we can see this new frequency, this other frequency that we don't always get to see, you know, and
Exactly.
so,
Yeah. I think we're going to see more things just in on our planet that we did before. You know, like I see flowers from the jungles in Brazil and places, and they actually look like the face of a monkey, or they look like the face of a human. You know, all these different things. So why were all these things hidden from us? It's like they, you know, we on our floral shops, you know, the buttercup, the rose, all these little simple flowers. And there's some really creative nature, definitely had some intentional design. Something up there was creating these things to mimic, you know, the animals here on this planet, you know, in flowers. So that's I just think there's a lot of stuff. And I think even our oceans, it seems like we've been always focused on space. We should be more focused on the waters. You know, I think we talked about this before. So we need to explore. And also, what I wanted to ask you, what is your feelings about Argartha or Under Earth? Like, do you think there's,
oh, I went there many
y'all tell
times.
me about it.
It's beautiful. And people talk about it as a singular. There's many civilizations. It's not one place. And I in fact when you go within the earth, it expands. Like instead of getting to be a small space, it's like going into space above where
So, yeah.
the inverted unit that's where the inverted universe conversation started coming in for me was that as I in meditation, in remote viewing, in a lot of different ways, whatever way you want to do it, you when you go down, I think that's why we were taught that hell was down, so we wouldn't go there.
Oh, yeah, but I personally don't think there is a hell.
No.
There's no hell, and they believe in a creator source, and they don't believe in all these different religions. Our version of God is not what their version is. So, I know people don't like to hear that, but you know, it is what it is.
And within the center, we do have a heart center. We call it Gaia's heart. And in this chamber, you can call it a chamber, there are what you would call, I guess, stargates. And it's cool because they're side by side, but it's a whole different. You can tell it's an entirely different. Just looking at it from the before we even going into it, and then you're in all these different places with these high frequency beings, and I always find it fun. I guide meditations on Sunday with a small group, and it's fun because every time we enter those places, these high frequency beings, who would see them as elders, and we're just, wow, you're so amazing. They think of us that way. They think of us that way. Just like you said that they bring you in and they're like, they realign you and help you out.
Yeah.
I feel like they do that with a lot of people. I know they do it with me too. And they just, there's this part that they kind of are hoping that you remember who you were before you came here.
Absolutely.
They kind of talk to you like your grandma at the nursing home with dementia, like, hi, remember me? Just kind of waiting for you to recall who they are. And seeing ourselves as lower has been something we've been conditioned on purpose. And taught to lower, diminish self. That's most of what religion does, is they lower, humble. It doesn't mean what people are saying, taught. And so it's teaching us to move away from our power sometimes too.
Yeah. Well, I've often thought, of course, I don't have proof. I don't make claims that I know everything. I do not. But I've been on a craft that would go into water. So, and then I've looked at and I've seen like all these grid lines and stuff on the bottom of the ocean. So if they're going into the ocean, they could be going through caves and channels to inner Earth, because I know sometimes we end up places that seem like a planet, but there's no way I would know if I was in space or if I was in inner Earth. It's amazing.
There's something called I believe it's, I could get it wrong. I always mix these two up because I don't resonate with either of these words. But science has deemed it this, so this is the word we're using. It's either the devil's axis or the evil axis. I can't remember which. So, however, if you do research on this, you'll find it's an understanding in a lot of different schools of thought of science. They've discovered that all things are moving toward the axis of our Earth. The way that the axis of Earth is, all the cosmos is moving as if it's being drawn to the center.
Wow.
This echoes what I experienced there, is that all things, all places can be met and you can travel to through going within. And also there's places within. It's expansive down there. And I'm also over and over again, this is one that I don't usually throw out in the bucket very often because it's kind of like weird, is when you go up, it's water.
Wow.
The sky's water.
Wow.
Like, that's really strange, I know, but
No, not really. I mean, because even back in old days, there's talks of a firmament, so maybe they were seeing a bit, maybe they experienced that and just couldn't connect all the dots,
Right.
I'm sure that people were having experiences and they just didn't know what was happening to them. And I'm sure that's happening today,
Right.
They just dismiss it like that was a dream, or whatever. That's amazing. Yeah. I never really thought of it that way. That's pretty cool.
And there are different levels of density of this water. And it's almost makes me wonder sometimes if air is water. I mean, I'm not saying go try to breathe in from the ocean. My daughter pointed this out to me the other day, is that Fish will drown at different depths
I
because
did not
the
know that.
water is different densities as you go lower and lower in the ocean.
Well, the pressure changes.
Then also is a different it's a different molecular density.
Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, anybody that does takes to train to get their diving certificates, you have to learn about how far the human body can only handle so much and has to sit and wait. Oh, that golly, I never thought about fish having that same thing, but there are so many depths to the ocean that we don't even know about.
And that's another thing too, exploring the ocean, like you had said already, exploring
Mm-hmm.
the ocean is so there's so many places there that I've been and not realized I was on the earth, where,
Yeah.
because I don't remote view on purpose. Like I don't, I agree to it, though. I don't go there going, oh, this is what I'm going to do. I'll go into
Yeah.
meditation and let what is supposed to occur. My guides are there to support and to assist and to guide. That's their job,
Yeah. Right.
and we'll go to wherever we're meant to go. And sometimes it's within the oceans, and there are civilizations there too. There
Yeah.
are a lot of things there. It's really neat.
Yeah. Well, I've met aquatic beings, and there's they come from somewhere from the water. I don't know of any up in space, but I never really pieced it all together. But now it makes more sense. So I love these conversations.
This is, I can add to that too. This is something that I have a memory of. Is the so everybody knows about the deluge, the flood,
Yeah.
and people want to explain it, this way or that way, and I've always had this memory, though rarely did I mention it until recently. I don't know why, but anyway, um, the Bermuda Triangle was actually a series of massive, massive crystals in the ocean. They're still there. We actually repaired them remote viewing style a little while ago, a bunch of people. And anyway, these crystals were put there to open a portal to a different world and bring in some beings. And when that was done, the salty water came with them.
Hmm.
So that's where whale came from. That's where a dolphin came from. That's where seahorse came from. That's where octopus came from.
Yeah.
These beings were brought here, and whoops, a lot more water came, a lot more than what was meant to come, or it happened the way it was supposed to,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so
It was a cleansing, I guess, of some sort, or well, they had to make the world safe for those beings that were being brought in. Yeah.
yeah. And
That's interesting too.
each one of them has a role, like you do.
Yeah. I have a real fascination and affection, and I've been swimming with dolphins many, many times, and they are just attracted to me as I am to them because apparently they can sense my frequency. And they're drawn to my children too. It's just like it doesn't matter how many times they've been trained, they will leave their trainers and come to be around us. That's a pretty amazing thing, and that's always happened since we started doing that when my children were little,
Yeah.
at different places in the Caribbean, and it's just even to this day it still happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always known that they were on the same intellectual level as humans, but just in different form or higher. They're higher. I'd say they're higher frequency than us.
I would say that too. And then you ask them and they think that we're higher frequency. We're just ignoring our truth.
Yeah. Well, it's like the interdimensionals told me that every animal, plant, conscious being has been waiting for us to catch up to them.
Yeah.
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 And people look at me and go, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm having a conversation with a plant."
I don't get those questions anymore. People just know, I guess. But
Yeah.
for the longest time, I was called the crazy garden lady. And then all of a sudden, people started showing up, but they were like, didn't want the neighbors to see them there. And they'd say, "Hey, what crystal's the best crystal?" Or like they would say, "Hey, I had a dream. Do you know what dreams mean? And before you know it, then you're just, normal. Now I'm the watering lady, and
Yeah.
um, however, as we have these conversations, then um, more and more we're realizing that everyone's having this. They just ignore it. Like this example here, Sky Energy is here. Welcome, Sky Energy. Have you ever seen the energy grid over the Earth? We all see it, right? We
Mhm.
all know it's there. Sometimes we see it at night. It looks like kind of like you're looking through a chain link fence, only
Yeah.
ghostly. And sometimes you see it from above. But everybody will see it, and a lot of times what we'll do is we'll like shake your head or rub your
Yeah.
eye and try to refocus, and then you manifest what you want to see, right?
Yeah. That happens a lot.
Of all of the different interactions you've had with all these many different beings, um, what would you say was the most useful for you? Like the thing that you still like, at least for this now moment, like the information or the knowledge or the knowing or
Well, I guess it was back last September. My son and I, they gave him downloads and wanted us to go to Mexico. And he and I went to Mexico, just he and I. And they wanted us to go up on this mountain. And it took us 3 hours to drive up this mountain, and it was very primitive. They were without electricity for pretty much 5 of the 7 days we were there because of it being at a high altitude. They call it it's it's called San Jose del Pacifico, and it's also called the Zapotac, or the indigenous people that live there, and they're also called the people of the clouds. And they wanted us to go there and interact. My son, being in his 40s, he's more physically fit. He spent time with the indigenous people going through the forest. And this mountain, everything is like inclined. There's no way I could hike or backpack on that kind of terrain. So he was able to do that. So for me, my visitations were at night, and they would come for me and um, take me out. And they opened up a vision. They took me out outside the cabin we were in, and they took their hands like this and said, "Everything is alive. Everything is alive." And then I could see trees talking to each other, plants, and all these things communicating with each other. And, it was an amazing thing, because I'd always heard that, but to visually see it was a different thing. It was a beautiful thing. And for my son, uh, when he went to meet these indigenous people, and I didn't even get the opportunity to tell him about my experience because he left right as the sun was coming up to go with this group of translators to go to this indigenous little tribe or community, whatever they call it. I don't really know. I don't speak Spanish, and they didn't speak English, but we did have a translator that we found. So, but when he got to the house, where these people live, the tribesmen or whatever, he was like their tribe or chief or whatever. He walks out in front of my son and goes, "Everything is alive," which was exactly what the interdimensional said to me when they took me out and showed me. So that was pretty significant. And then when he came back, it was just he couldn't get back soon enough. He was just so excited and wanted to tell me all he had learned and what they had shared with him. But when he told me everything's alive and he did his hands like this, I just started crying because that was unbelievable. It was just so orchestrated by them, and they wanted us to both experience this, not at the same time and in different ways, but it all gelled. So that was an amazing thing for sure. And that's pretty much helped me to understand about us going through this evolutionary process, and for me to understand about that our awareness is going to start to change, and how they showed me that uh, another indication of how they show me that there's life going on all around us and we just can't see it, you
yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
that was pretty significant for me and for my son. And plus, that was a trip that he and I will remember for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
You know, it was a mother son, but a spiritual, gosh, I don't even know what you call something like that, but it was amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
And such a profound truth too. It's so true. Everything, everything's alive. Everything.
Hmm.
And there's no emptiness. There's no emptiness. There's no voids like people talk about. It's and if we try to fill something up, we're overfilling it. That's why we feel discomfort.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
It is. And it's hard to express to people because I know that when you're seeing and experiencing that, it's hard to relate into words so that people would understand. And I'm doing the best I can. But, I'm glad to be who I am. I'm glad, 20 years ago, I probably wouldn't have said this. But now, I truly know who I am. I know I'm not the Nancy the world around me programmed me into. I am the real Nancy, my soul self, my inner soul self. And I know where I came from. And I know that I have family waiting on me. But I know I'm not ready to leave this family here on earth anytime soon because I love them and they mean so much. And we're having a beautiful experience. But to I'm just proud to know who I am and that our life does not end on this planet and that we are having a temporary human experience here and we need to enjoy it and that we have so much more things and it never ends. Our souls are immortal, you know. So to know that because I can remember being 12 years old and just crying and whining to my mom. I don't understand this planet. I don't understand this earth. Why do we have to die? Why do we have to be buried under the ground? Why is it over? And now I understand all my frustration and stuff because I knew all the things that people were telling me and I was hearing was not the truth.
Right. And
Now,
you knew
I
it.
had a hard time sitting in churches.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I just like this is not real. I knew it because true love, there is no fear. True love, you don't manipulate to get people to do what you want, and you shouldn't have to pay for it. You cannot buy your way into religion or spirituality.
Yeah.
So I just all my life. I had a hard time with it. I really did. I struggled, and I felt like I was being punished to have to go. Like something was wrong with me. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I resonate with that so much. I think everyone does in some way. Like most of us had that indoctrination into religion, and the hushing, the quieting of yourself and your truth to be in this world. But at the same time, they're obviously lying to you. Your soul is saying it's not true,
Right.
at a soul level. And then you're in a world where, well, then prove it. Prove it.
Yeah.
I don't need to prove it to you.
Right.
That's not why I'm here. I'm
Well,
here
I
to
think I think what it boils down to is everybody should look within, get in tune with their soul self, and they will come to an understanding of why they chose to come to Earth and what their purpose is.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
we can't prove anything.
No. And that's the way that spirit works. I know you probably need to get going in a minute. Maybe we can start to wrap it up, but I just did want to point out that's the kind of this is something that seems opposite of what we're taught, is that belief is what powers spirit, and so and we're taught to prove it so then belief can occur. However, in order to make it occur and to be able to fully embrace it, belief needs to be present.
Yeah,
And so I think that this indoctrination system that we're working against, or not against, but we're moving away from,
yeah,
really has only been over the past 100 years. Like whatever we're taught or not, I don't think that it's been much longer than that.
I
Maybe
think you're right
200.
on that because I know at one time we did know our connections. You know, we had an appreciation for things, and that it's because of greed and material things we have moved in, and technology, I guess. But I do think that we can use technology to better humanity if it's in the proper hands and used the right way. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
Wow. I had so many questions that we didn't even cover. We were just talking about things in the moment, and that was so much fun. I really enjoyed this
I do
conversation.
too. I enjoy it. It's very nice. It's refreshing because to get things in action, it needs to be spoken, you know. So that's part of the process of, you know, spreading information, spreading love, spreading energy, hope. You know, that's part of this whole process. So I think we did a good job.
Thank you so much for joining me in today's show. I
Thank
hope that
you.
you come back sometime. I
Oh, I
really
will. I'll be happy to. All you got to do is ask.
wonderful. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
you're welcome.
And for everyone in the audience, I just wanted to say thank you for joining us today. And yeah, there's a lot of energy going on, a lot of weird dreams, a lot of connectivity stuff, tech glitches, a lot of stuff's going on. I saw some of the comments. And so just know that you're not alone. Mercury is in retrograde. You know, and not only that, we are in a really cool conjunction right now, a conjunction of Jupiter and Mars, which is the father, the sun, Zeus, and Aries, as well as Earth. So, father, son, and mother. Knowing that this energy is occurring right now, just allow yourself to ground as much as possible. And we're going to need a little extra water because here come some solar flares. They should be really, we should be in the geomagnetic storm within today sometime. So, um, Nancy, thank you so much.
All
I
right.
love you. You're so
All right. I
beautiful.
love you too. You take care of yourself, and I'll please keep me in mind and stay in touch. Bye.